Welcome back. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Not because I didn't want to, but because of mistakes on my part and some other things that happened, and I'll just skip all that. So anyhow, where I'm at now, I finally got the finish coat on Keith. Here, I'll give you a peek. Here's where we're at. Looks nice. Like with a lot of these, I'm not going to do a lot of talking. I'm just going to point the camera at it and start doing my thing, and you guys can watch. Thanks. I had put the clear coat on the hot dog and of course on the body, and that made the sizes change, so I had to hit them with some sandpaper and, you know, just clean them up so they'd fit better. Here I'm going through the initial level sanding process. I've got a 220 silica carbide sanding disc on there, and I'm just using that to very roughly shape in the initial layers of the level sand. You can see that I'm going from 220 to 400, 600, 800, 1000, and then finally 2000 grit, and that's where I stopped sanding. I actually had a problem with the camera, and you couldn't see the part where I'm actually finished polishing it, and that takes it from 2000 to roughly 15,000. It gives a ridiculously deep and lustrous shine. Right here, doing the same thing as I had done with the hot dog, the control cavity cover lip. You know, it's a lower spot. There's an edge right there, so there's a lot of places for clear coat to coagulate and harden. So just getting that all cleaned up so that the cavity will fit. And of course I did that before I sanded. That way, if there was a problem, you know, you scratch the top, dragging the router over it, something like that. The sanding will get rid of any of those mars. And same thing as before, 220, 320, 400, 600, 800, 1000, 15, then 2000. And I've got the brush out there just to wipe any of that residue off before I start with the next grit. You don't want to have anything like that that's marring the finish. So it's important to keep it clean in between. When you change from one grit to another, have it clean. So here I'm just showing you, you know, this is sanded. It's not even polished. So if you notice, you can really see that everything's nice and flat and perfect, and you can read the reflection in the can. Looks great. I ran out of the conductive paint, and I didn't want to take a chance on waiting for it, so I have my roll of copper tape around here. So we're just going to use that to create Faraday cages around the pickup cavities, as well as the control route, and those all get grounded in series as well. Have to leave a little bit of the material sticking up, that way the copper that is in the mounting plates can touch it as well and complete the circuit. And here's the same process happening on the control cavity. When you first look at the cavities, you don't think it's going to take as much tape as it does, but it takes quite a bit. Well, it's about that time time to start assembling. Here we go. Then I got interrupted. What are you doing?
My friend, he threw my shoe up on the roof.
On the roof?
Yeah, on that one. Yeah. And now we can't get it.
So your friend threw your shoe on the roof?
Yeah, my flip-flop. He didn't mean to. I was there.
Okay, I got the shoe off the roof. Back to work. So I've talked about this before. I'm using machine screws to hold the plates in place. So I'm cutting those threads with a tap. Also worth noting, these are brass screws, so you want to make sure the threads are actually cut and you're not over torquing them. They'll snap in half real easily. So running our ground wire through there. Well, I guess in case you don't know what I'm doing, that is the ground wire. So once I put this plate on top, it's going to sit on there, and because it's copper, it will have continuity and everything else will be grounded. Instead of using springs, I use the tubing. Same as before, brass screws holding everything together. I think it complements the copper very well. These are brass, and if I try and turn threads with that, it's just going to snap right off. So this one's stainless, and we put a little bit of this paste wax in there, and that acts as a lubricant while it's cutting threads. Okay, so ready to get this pickup and the bridge plate mounted. I always tighten them up by hand. A little bit of Gorilla Glue, the medium viscosity gel. It has about a 2-hour time before it hardens, but that'll get the hot dog in there and hold it securely. And the back was actually sanded to allow it to penetrate through the clear, so that piece is never coming out. And here I'm installing the bridge saddles. So I'm watching the latest video, and at 2 minutes 50,
St.
that's me.
Datesfield Diary. On Tuesday the 20th, I am going to nominate my favourite 20.
Getting the last of the electronics ready to be installed and soldered up. So we'll cut a pilot hole for the Forstner bit to follow as I cut that large diameter for the barrel jack to go in. A little bit of CA glue to hold the GrapTech nut in place. And back to the Forstner bit. I was having a bit of a problem drilling this. Basically, the cordless drill was almost dead, so you'll see that I do a little bit, and then I put it on a charger, and like here I'm putting the holes for the strap locks. Then when I'm done, it goes back on the charger, and so in between tasks, you'll see that I just keep coming back to drilling that out. Well, it's the last day. It's Friday the 16th, and I've got until tomorrow to get this thing finished, videoed, edited, and posted. There's a lot of stuff to do in a little time, so I'm not going to really do a lot of talking. I'm just going to go, and it is what it is. Sorry. Yeah, also, it's cold. It was 34 degrees this morning. It's 51, I think it said now, so fingers are getting a little bit cold too. Okay, so the final solder. Warp Core, the guys that made my pickups, they provided me with a very basic wiring harness. I don't know if you remember that from the earlier version, but basically all the components were swapped out. You know, the dime size pots, these are true 1-inch Bourne's pots. So, but I did use that that guide that they have, and the tags are showing, you know, which pickup wire goes to which connector. Pretty helpful to have. So we'll disassemble it from the stay board and then get it put into the body and tighten down. So we attach the switch, and that gets threaded through the hot dog. And solder on our barrel jack. Get the mounting screws for that in place, all tightened down. Allen wrench to hold the control knobs on. And I'm just chasing the thread inserts to the correct size. So as you can see, I'm almost done. Maybe I'm getting ready to do the stupidest thing ever. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to double stick this down and run the pattern bit around it, just so that it fits super nice and awesome. But that might be the dumbest thing I do. I should mention that the pattern bit is set to literally only take off that 2 millimeters. I don't hate it. I kind of like it. I'm not going to drill the holes yet. I think I'm going to leave it there for a little bit and just kind of stew on it and see if I like it. Filing the nut to the finished height. Just getting it nice and pretty and roughed in. The last thing to do is cut the nut slots, and I keep all my setup tools and everything inside the house. This way if a friend comes by with a guitar or whatever, I don't have to bring them out here. And so I'm going to actually lay out where the slots are, and then we're going to take it inside. I'm excited. So we're inside the house, cutting the actual slots for the nut. We'll get her all strung up. That white that you see on the banding, that's just a haze from the crystalline wax that I put on, I didn't do a very good job of wiping it off. But later on, I go over it and clean all that stuff off so it's nice and pretty and shiny. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to Keith. Keith has a hard rock maple neck with Wilkenson tuners, GrapTech nut. The neck dimensions at the nut are 1.45, tapering to 1.950". It's 800 thousandths thick at the first fret and tapers to 850 at the 12th fret. Jescar nickel silver wire. The custom little dots there, the inlay material. 4-piece walnut ebony binding. The custom solid copper pickup surrounds and bridge plate. GrapTech string spacer saddles, warp core pickups. Paper and oil caps, 4-way switch, doing neck, parallel, bridge, and series. One of a kind.